Hello, kiddos. This is Miss Behrens for the week of Monday, April 13th. I'm going to try something different today, and I'm going to try to put a few days worth of lessons in just one video so there's not so many videos to watch. I'm coming live from my living room, so I'm actually using my TV and my Chromebook to do this lesson for you. So I'm going to try my best. It's not cooperating as much as I would like it to, so we'll see what we can do here. Okay, we're starting lesson 15.5, compare and order mixed numbers. Last week we talked about mixed numbers. We turned mixed numbers into improper fractions and turned improper fractions into mixed numbers. So we're going to now put them in order. Remember, when we compare and order, we tell which one is greater than, less than, or if they're equal to, and then we put them in order depending upon what they tell us, from least to greatest or greatest to least. So let's take a look. Here's our problem. Amanda had many after-school activities last week. The table shows the amount of time she spent doing each activity. Did she spend more time working on her science project or at soccer practice? Well, we have to look. Science project is over here. How long did she spend on her science project? 1 2/3 hour. On the soccer practice, 1 1/3 hour. This one's pretty easy for us to compare. Look at the fraction bars they're going to give us. We have 1 2/3, 1 1/3. Hold on. So we can compare the two rows of fraction bars. The longer row represents the greater mixed number. Well, we can easy squeezy see 1 2/3 is bigger, right? Look at how they wrote it. 1 2/3 is greater than 1 1/3. So Amanda spent more time on her science project than at soccer practice. Sweet. Okay. Why? This is a great question. When we compare 1 2/3 and 1 1/3, why do we only have to compare the fraction parts? That's right, it's because we have the same whole number. So there, you just have to look at the fractions. Oh no, so now when we compare mixed numbers with unlike denominators, remember what we have to do. We have to find a common denominator before we can even compare these guys. So when we compare 2 2/3 and 2 1/4, we can use a number line. Draw a number line. They have it divided into thirds. There's 1, 2, 3. They're showing you the whole numbers. Locate 2 2/3. It's gonna be right there. Then we're doing another number line and we're dividing it into fourths. Then we have to find 2 1/4. There it is. When we have these number lines lined up by each other, can you easily tell which mixed number is greater? It's going to be the number farther to the right. So 2 2/3 is greater than 2 1/4. Amanda spent less time at piano lessons and then practice, or piano lessons and practice, than she did doing her homework. Okay. I like this. They're going to show you drawings, but here in a minute we're going to get into the little bit tougher part. So we can draw pictures for 2 1/2. Everyone see that? 2 1/2. 1 1/6. And 1 3/4. When we have models like this, it's super easy for us to put these in order from least to greatest. Except they're saying greatest to least, so we have to make sure that we read the directions, Miss Behrens. So first, compare the whole numbers. If we're looking for the greatest, can you tell which one's the greatest without doing any math? Just looking at the whole numbers. Well, 2 is bigger than 1 1. So 2 1/2 is immediately our biggest number. So then we have to look at our mixed numbers that have the whole number of 1. Now I'm comparing 1 1/6 and 1 3/4. Well, those pictures can easy squeezy show us which is my next greatest. So it's 2 1/2 is my biggest, 1 3/4 is my middle, and then 1 1/6 is my smallest. And then we put them in order. Remember to put a comma in between those fractions. Okay. When we order mixed numbers, you need to compare the whole number parts first. Then compare the fraction parts. Here's a number line. Oh my gosh, look what they're doing here. 5/2, 2 3/4, 2 3/8 from least to greatest using a number line. They're trying to be tricky with us and give us an improper fraction. So first you have to find equivalent fractions. What's that mean? That's right, that means you have to find the common denominator. So first we took 5/2 and we turned it into an improper fraction. Remember how we do that? You should have done it last week. You do 5 divided by 2, which gives you 2 1/2. But then we had to find a common denominator for 3/4 and 3/8. So look what they're doing. They're using 8 as your common denominator. So 5/2 turns into 2 4/8. 2 3/4. We're only changing the fraction. They had to give it a denominator of 8. So when you're fair to fractions, 4 times 2 is 8. 3 times 2 is 6. That becomes 2 6/8. And this one's easy because we don't have to change it. It already has 8ths as its denominator. So here's our number line. We have a 2 and a 3, and we're divided into 8ths. Let's put our dots. 3/8, 4/8, 6/8. Well, this is pretty easy for us to figure out. Here's our greatest, our middle, and our least. Remember, when you write the answers, though, you have to take it back to your original fraction. So look how they're going to write this. 2 3/8 is the biggest. Then 5/2. Remember how we turned 5/2 into 2 4/8. And then 2 3/4. You have to do the extra work before you can do the easy squeezy part of figuring out greatest to least. Okay. Use the number line. Is 3 4/5 greater than or less than 3 2/5? This one's pretty fun for us. So here we're going to put our dot here and our dot here. Is 3 4/5 greater or less than 3 2/5? Well, we can see 4/5 over here. So yes, it's totally greater than. Compare the mixed numbers. Okay, boys and girls, this can go ahead. We're going to count this as Tuesday's work. So you can compare the mixed numbers. Use less than, greater than, or equal to for each blank. Okay. Oh my goodness, look at this. 1 1/3, 1 1/2. Well, 1 1/2 is greater than, less than, or equal to. That's right, it's less than. Here they're showing us 1 3/4 compared to 1 3/8. If we didn't have pictures, we'd have to find the least common denominator. That means we'd have to change 3/4 into an 1/8. They're showing us a picture right here, so it makes our life pretty easy. I can see that 1 3/4 is, greater than 1 3/8. Again, they're so nice showing us number lines. 6 1/6, 6 1/2. Is 6 1/6 greater than, less than, or equal to? Yep, it's less than. All right, boys and girls, what you're going to do in your packet, you're going to do lesson 15.5, front and back. Remember, start with the small side. For numbers 1 and 2, you can see the pictures. For numbers 3, 4, 5, and 6, you have to use, oh yeah, you're totally going to have to find common denominators. So let's do one together. On side 43, let's do number 3 together. I need to put them from greatest to least. So I have 2 and 7/9, 2 and 4/5, 3 and 1/3. All right, I hope you can see that. Can we easily tell which number is the biggest? Look at your whole numbers. That's right, 3 and 1/3. So your first number, the greatest number, 3 and 1/3. So we're done with that. I'm going to cross that one out. Now I have 2 and 7/9 and 2 and 4/5. Well, I have to take those fractions and do what? I have to find a common denominator. What do they have in common? It's going to have to be 45. So I'm going to use 45 as my denominator. I'm changing 7/9. What do I have to do to the 9 to get 45? 9 times what equals 45? Yeah, it's 5. So I have to be fair to fractions. 7 times 5 is 35. Perfect. Then I'm going to take 4/5 and I have to make it a 45th also. 5 times what equals 45? Yeah, 9. So I have to be fair to fractions. 4 times 9 is, 36. Look how close this one is, kiddos. So 2 and 4/5 turns into 2 and 36 45ths. But 2 and 7/9 turns into 2 and 35 45ths. So which one's bigger? It's going to be 2 and 4/5. It's bigger by like that much. So when we put it in order, we have to make sure we're using our original mixed numbers. So we're going to write 3 and 1/3, comma, that's our greatest. Then our next greatest is 2 and 4/5, and then our least, just by a smidge, is 2 and 7/4. You're going to do that on page 43 and 41. So we'll count this as your Tuesday work. So no worksheet for Monday. You could definitely get on Think Central like I am right now and go to the book. Go through the lesson on the book also Monday. So no written work. I want you to, let me show you, go to the book. Let me find my book. Okay, see, this is where it's going to mess up for me. Okay, go to the book. I want you to do lesson 15.5 in your book and do the problems. Then you're going Tuesday. Do your worksheet 15.5 front and back. Wednesday, in your packet that you got from school, you have an extra page that says convert mixed numbers to improper fractions. Turn the page. Convert improper fractions to mixed numbers. This is extra practice. Remember, when we're turning fractions to mixed numbers, you divide, keep the same denominator, and then when we're turning mixed numbers to improper fractions, you have to multiply. Do the exact opposite. That's going to be your Wednesday work. Okay, we'll have another video in just a minute for Thursday and Friday.